Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. This is a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. This is episode number 270 of the show. And we are going to read from The Rudder of the Day this morning. This is a book by Dan Miller, and it is a long-awaited compilation of stories to inspire and direct, drawn from the 48 Days newsletter. There's more than 41,000, at the time of this book at least, there were more than 41,000 people that have subscribed to that newsletter. And now you have in your hands the most inspiring stories to make sure your rudder of the day directs you toward the success you deserve. So let's read today. We're going to read Remember the Sabbath, and this will be the title of today's show. A day of Sabbath is more than just a spiritual suggestion. It's a necessity for balance and restoration. In the busyness of modern life, I fear we have lost the rhythm between activity and rest. I am so busy. We say this as a badge of honor, as if our exhaustion were a trophy and our ability to withstand 70-hour weeks a mark of real character. We convince ourselves that the busier we are, the more we are accomplishing and the more important we must be. But is this really so? Does more activity really mean more accomplishment? To be unavailable to friends and family, to miss the sunsets and the full moons, to blast through all our obligations without time for taking a deep breath? This has become the model for a successful life. Unfortunately, because we do not rest, we lose our way. Instead of becoming more, we are just doing more. We base our value on what we can do rather than who we are. Are you making time for healthy breathing in your life? Our technologies make us available 24/7 to the demands of our work, if we allow it. If you exhale without having time to inhale, you will turn blue and pass out. Embrace Sabbath days and times in your life. Wisdom, peace, creativity, and contentment will grow in those times. Take a walk. Give thanks for simple things. Bless your children. Take a bath with music and candles. Turn off the telephone, pager, TV, and computer. Carve out those times for restoration and spiritual breathing. Recently, on a Sunday night, we had a violent storm here in Franklin, Tennessee. Our power was out all day. No internet, no air conditioning, no TV or radio. So my wife, Joanne, our son, Jared, and I spent the day cleaning up trees, talking to neighbors, and going out for lunch. An unexpected Sabbath. I am fortunate to work in an environment where I see rabbits, guineas, woodpeckers, lightning, clouds, and neighbors. It's difficult for me to find a refreshing pause in the midst of concrete, asphalt, and honking horns. My work setting is the result of having a clear goal and a plan of action. I know what works for me. Have you been able to find the work that provides a balance of being and doing? And as always, guys, before we ask ourselves a question to provide some direction for today, we will read a quote from the Bible. And today we read from Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11. Remember to observe the Sabbath as a holy day. 6 days a week are for your daily duties and your regular work, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest before the Lord your God. On that day you are to do no work of any kind, nor shall your son, daughter, or slaves, whether men or women, or your cattle of your house guests. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven, earth, and sea, and your house guests. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven, earth, and sea, and everything in them, and rested the seventh day. So he blessed the Sabbath day and set it aside for rest. And the question to provide some direction for today is, how can you unplug your doing and enhance your being today? All right, I'm going to let one more car pass and then hit the road. And I think I read a line in that Bible passage twice, but you guys got the drift. We're talking about the Sabbath, right? So I'm going to share some personal experience on the Sabbath and something in a way that I'm doing today that answers that question. That question of how can you unplug your doing and enhance your being today? So I guess this is going to, in a sense, transition into some discussion about functional medicine. All right? What? Why? How? Well, here's why and here's how. I guess a little bit of backstory is needed. Way back in September, I first began this journey with functional medicine and began seeing Dr. Michael Siciliano at the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine. There was a whole series of the most comprehensive blood panels ever done. I was put on a grain-free elimination diet and then revisited him back in late December. And I experienced excellent results on this grain-free elimination diet. Fantastic, actually. And in large part, I'm still doing it. As a result of all the testing that was done and the follow-up in late December, I have more testing to be done. There were a couple things that were found inside me as I went through this process of becoming healthier. One was an intestinal parasite. I believe that has been dealt with. We shall see. And I am today going to be taking a urine test, a urine mycotoxin screening test, because apparently there were some indicators in the recent blood testing that I may have something indicates that I may have been exposed to mold, like some form of mold. And over the past 3 days, I began Sunday fasting. Monday I fasted. a water fast with tea and some coffee. I had a cup of coffee at work and normally don't drink coffee. And this glutathione supplement that I've had to take twice a day for 3 days prior to the test. And one of the things that I need to do in conjunction with this test, in addition to simply pissing in a couple of vials, is take a sauna for 30 minutes to ensure that I am sweating. And it's been years since I've taken a sauna. I just got passed. I don't know. This is a double yellow line. The roads are quite terrible on these side roads, and there's a hill that kind of blocks the view upcoming. There's even a sign that indicates it, but this person doesn't seem to care. Whatever. So yeah, saunas. It's been a long time since I have taken a sauna, and for the purposes of this test, I decided to poke around and look around and find one. It's $30 for 30 minutes, and so I'm going to do it. At some point, I would very much like to invest in a sauna at home for home use for the long run, but that's a pretty healthy investment unless I can find one used, and honestly, I saw one on the marketplace recently, but that's another story for another day. So I guess the sauna is one way that I can unplug my doing and enhance my being today. The process of functional medicine is also allowing me to do this, and I'm going to expand a bit on this in a general way in my next blog post on Men of Order. I have one published so far called 7 Steps to Make 2022 Your Best Year Ever. I'll link to that in the show notes. I have one written that I need to post, edit, and that will be published this Sunday. And then the next one will be covering physical goals, and I will tie in my own personal experiences with functional medicine and how those have helped me set some physical goals. And the reason I bring this up is because if it weren't for functional medicine, I wouldn't be taking this sauna today. And it's a good opportunity. It's $30 isn't bad. You go out to dinner, you spend $30, especially if you're getting a drink. So $30, 30 minutes, and I am going to do my best to enter some kind of meditative state through breathing and just simply sitting and being and sweating. No music, no nothing. I'm just looking forward to the quiet, the senses, the experience. And that, guys, is one way to unplug your doing and enhance your being. Right? So in the beginning, as we read that first page about the busyness of modern life, so much of that resonated with me, because I don't even need to go back and revisit it. I would just encourage you to go back and listen to the first part of the show again and really take that in, with the crunching of the snow in the background as I drove down the driveway, four-wheel drive, to make my way to the road. There's a lot there, and I now understand the importance of the Sabbath day. As I'm writing my autobiography, and I made some solid progress on that this morning, in my 30s, I did not take the Sabbath day into account. I was grinding so hard on these various projects that I was working on during the corporate years, the utility forestry years, and that is what led me to burnout number 1 in 2009, 2010. And it was also that same concept that led me to burnout 6 years later, 2016, 6 years ago. And this is relevant because the one of the first guys that I actually heard talk about the importance of the Sabbath and the importance of taking a day of rest was Curtis Stone during one of the Permaculture Voices conferences, or in some of his work that he has done over the years, which is, the body of his work is quite vast, and he's currently working on something, his primary project is called From the Field, and I'll link to that in the show notes too, because those of you homestead types who aren't familiar with him might want to check it out. It's pretty cool. He's gone off-grid in Canada and is actively building and developing that homestead there, integrating a lot of the concepts that he formerly utilized in an urban setting in his book, The Urban Farmer. So there's that, but where I was going with this was his mention of taking a day and resting, especially getting away from the farm. And that is something that I made a point to do last year, because last year was really a year of regrouping. Especially the latter half of the year, coming to terms with myself, a lot of aspects of my life, especially my career, and how I was going to handle a lot of that moving forward. And a lot of that has just dominated my thoughts. And while I still try to be mindful of the Sabbath. Oftentimes, I find myself getting caught up in all of the various projects that I have going on, and that is something I need to be aware of. That is something we all need to be aware of, and yeah, it's just important to be aware of that. And like the title of the show reads, remember the Sabbath. So that's it for today's show, guys. As you can hear, perhaps in the background, the bumpy nature, I am here at the day job. And if you like what you hear, check out the show notes. There will be links to much of what was discussed there in the notes for your reference. And for the reference of, anyone who shares that listens is also listening to this and is going to hear the message. So it's there for your reference. So yeah, if you want to share this with others who you think might want to reference the said items in the show notes, then go ahead and do so. Post it on social media, text it to a friend, do whatever you do. You do you. And ultimately, and last but not least, if you want to interact with us, we've got a little community chat group on Telegram, t.me/allaroundgrowth from your internet browser. That's a great way to connect with us further, and we'd love to see you there. Again, t.me/allaroundgrowth. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.